Here we go, back in the UK, a little bit colder than I've been used to in Cyprus over the last few months. Anyway, good feedback from Caroline in Kilkenny, and thank you for that in relation to the capsize video number 13 last week. What I did not wish to suggest is that you forget about your paddle completely, but what I've seen over the last couple of years in some dragon boat capsizes, O1, OC1 capsizes, is people tend to, on occasion, get too fixated by their £300, €300 paddle to the exclusion of everything else. So, if the boat is going over, the priority is you. Then it's the boat, then it's your paddle in quick succession. So if the boat's going over, then tuck your head in, hand on head if you can, to get out the boat. The boat will roll just in case you get glancing blow from the armour or the float, just to protect your head a little bit more. Get out the boat, kick away from the boat. If you're wearing a buoyancy aid, as you should be, and if the boat has some inherent buoyancy, be it an airbag or a polystyrene block or whatever, it will float when it's upside down. Then locate your paddle and then swim ashore. If there's no C1, then flip it over, jump back on, carry on paddling. Okay, so the priority is you. On one occasion, it was rare, somebody capsizing, in this case in an O1, got a little bit tangled with their paddle and the spar. I mean, not catastrophically. So that's just why I say don't worry so much about your paddle when the boat is going over. Try and brace the boat, control the boat. If you can't do that, let it roll, protect yourself, look after yourself, and then when you pop up, grab hold of the boat, climatise to the water, grab your paddle, and away you go. Anyway, on with the O1 video, and by the way, have a happy Christmas. Cheers. Okay, welcome to the Paphos Nautical Club. Here's a little tutorial on the O1 kayak conversions if you are interested in how you convert them or how you maintain them or what you should be looking for in terms of a good or a bad kayak O1 conversion. These are actually, if you're from England, old Batchworth boats from Batchworth Dragon Boat Club. Bought them a few years ago, pressed them into service, reinforced them a little bit so they can use on the sea. Now when I say reinforcement, I've actually, if you see that, it's like an aluminium exoskeleton that links up the two or four holes front and back to put the spars or the accus, I suppose, if it would be an outrigger. Now it depends on the design of the boat and the structure underneath reinforcement, but either put that little skeleton inside or outside. Standard sort of 25mm thickness bars. A friend of mine in Ireland, Polly, uses bamboo, and given that bamboo is used in the Far East for scaffolding, I'm going to try that once I get myself some, probably once again inch diameter, something like that. All of these here, because it's hot weather, have a little hole at the back, and I just put some tape over it. I need that because in the heat of summer, then pressure builds up inside the float or the armour, once again if you're talking outrigger. Now, a few design points. You'll notice there the screws are quite long, so rather than, I'll talk about capsizing a little bit, but I put these little caps on the top. They come off. There we go. So if you capsized and you didn't lean forwards, as per the video I've just done regarding O1 capsize, that is a possible danger. So what I do to finish that off, I'll put a little cap on it. So if you happen to get hit on the head by that, you get hit on the head by a flat surface rather than a bolt. Now obviously that needs to be finished off, so I'll just cut that off once again so it's an inch proud, and then put a little cap on that. Okay, that's one thing to look for, and if you're buying a boat, have a think about doing that to finish it off. Also buoyancy. Obviously if you're paddling with the O1, you'll be wearing hopefully an inherent buoyancy aid. I like the boat being a buoyancy aid as well, so in the back here I've either got some 25-30 litre airbags, or this one actually is a swimming float. It's a 35 litre capacity swimming float. So if you think about it, that's either 35 kilos of water or 35 litres of air. And if that turns over, then your boat will be buoyant. So it becomes a secondary buoyancy aid in the event of a capsize. So another option, or alternative for that, just moving over to another boat, is a fairly standard airbag, 30 litre airbag. You can just see in the back there, the sort of thing you can buy from Palm and those sort of designers. Just move the seat forward so you can see that. There you go. So that's a nice big 30 litre airbag, you can see that, rather than 30 kilos of water. Before you go out, make sure all the bolts are done up. what I've done with these boats, because we use them on the sea, and we've got some people who I've just been paddling O1s for a month or so. I've rigged it so it's slightly facing armour down. As they get more familiar, more confident, I'll rig it so it's level, and in future times I'll rig it so it's armour light. Okay, so the float is just skipping on the water rather. At the moment it's riding a little bit heavy. It just means capsizing the waves is less likely. So that's a safety thing there. But you can obviously change the angle of pitch of those. It's not very technical, fairly straightforward. And really, apart from looking after the boats itself, you can work out just with the paddle the length between your hip and your heel, and you can decide before you sit in the boat what length or level at which you need the seat. Fairly straightforward, different moulds, different types, so that's fairly straightforward and nothing to cause any particular problems. What I will say is, obviously if you're carrying them, then make sure they're not full of water, because that's going to cause all sorts of damage. And the last thing worth talking about is this hole at the back. Some of the older ones have a hole that is an access port for the steering gear. I tend to leave this open. This one needs finishing off. I've done it with fiberglass and tape. I need to bring some carbon fibre from the UK. It's a little bit rough and ready at the moment, but I leave that open for sea paddling, because if you turn the boat over, then you need, if you tip the boat up one end, then water is going to start evacuating out the back, rather than sort of doing the old seesaw backwards and forwards. If you look at the other boats, just quickly, that's the more standard one. You'd have like a plastic plate that goes over there. I'll just leave that off once again. It also means that when I'm washing it out, because obviously the sea and the sun attack everything, it just means at the end of each session I wash the outside of the boat, wash the steering gear through there because it's aluminium, and make sure I wash all the turning rudder or the rudder stick there as well. Fairly straightforward, very easy, and it will make sure that these fairly old, quite historic boats actually last a few more years yet. There you go, there's O1 maintenance and a few design points as well to have a think about. I was just thinking while I was sawing that last bolt off that I might as well tell you about the specifications. The bolts I use are 8mm stainless, so all the stuff I use is stainless steel. Obviously I paddle on the sea here, so I'm concerned about the corrosion side of things. When these boats first came over here, they had 6mm, which I think is a little bit too small. 10's a bit too big, so 8 is about right for all the gear, and that's the same for the bolts on the float. And what I've done here is just, they're called Big Head Rivets, the Big Head company based in Bournemouth. They do some really nice stuff. Once again, stainless steel. I've just epoxy resin and screwed it into the float itself, and then overlaid it with some carbon fibre, and that's strong enough for the sea. And there we go. And on the boat itself, I've actually done some just strips of glass fibre just to reinforce it again. I say they're old boats, but say to keep it nice and strong. A bit of stress goes through the area, even with that little exoskeleton piece as well.